Hello guys, welcome back to the React Basics learning series. I hope you guys are enjoying the tutorial so far. As part of this tutorial we have lot of points to cover, but I just wanted to give a quick recap of what all we learned before this in the previous lecture. So as part of previous lecture we covered the component architecture and we covered the UI mockup and then the dependency tree for the components. So this was what we covered. If you have not watched the previous lecture, I would suggest you to please go back and watch that, because it will be really helpful for you to understand whatever we are developing further in the series. So I would highly recommend you to go back and watch the previous videos and then come back to this one. Okay, so as part of the current lecture, the agenda is to cover like certain theory related things related to React.js. So what is React, then what is JSX, then I would help you guys in understanding what is prettier code formatter and why it is very important for your development. And I would tell you how you can do the setup for prettier so that you can get the code formatting automatically done in your VS Code. Then we will work on designing the to-do app layout. So that is the agenda for this video, and as part of and at the end I'm going to show you like how the layout looks like. Okay, so let's get started with the first point, which is like what is React.js. So as I think most of you might be aware, React.js is a open source library developed by Facebook for building user interfaces, and mostly people develop single page applications using React. It allows you to create large scale web applications as well, which does a lot of data manipulation kind of things without reloading the page. The key features for React are like component based architecture, that is the first. Then as like what component based architecture means, so it is mostly when you look at a React application, it is always built around components, right? So you have a root component, then for each of the features and functionality that you want to have in your web page, you would end up designing certain component for those. So that's why it is called as component based architecture. And all these components are basically reusable pieces of UI that manage their own state. So what a state means is like certain data and all that would be managed within that component, so that is what we call as a state. Then the second point is the virtual DOM. So I would not cover the virtual DOM as part of this. I think we will cover these things in future. That would be better, just not to overwhelm you in the initial part of the tutorial. And then unidirectional data flow. So again, unidirectional data flow also, if you have already worked on other frameworks like Angular and all, you might be aware about it. But once we start developing the application, it will be very clear like how React does unidirectional data flow, and it makes it easier to understand and debug the application. Okay, so that was about the React.js. Moving on to the next point, which is what is JSX. So JSX is again so if you look at the traditional way of developing web applications, so usually you will have certain HTML files, and then you will have a CSS file which will be used in the HTML to do the styling. But when it comes to having dynamic rendering within HTML, earlier we used to have different kind of templating engine and all, which was supporting those kind of dynamic rendering, but it was not very convenient for the from a development point of view. Whereas if you look at React provides a way where you can write all these JavaScript syntax within like basically you can merge JavaScript and HTML together to create a dynamic behavior in your web page. So it becomes very convenient when you think in terms of JSX for writing like designing your UI. So once we go into the coding part, it will be very clear to you what I mean by all these points. So let's head over to the VS Code. First of all, I would suggest you to, once you open the VS Code, right, open your application, and first of all you go to click on this marketplace like extensions icon, and once you click on this you will be able to see a search bar here. So here you need to search for prettier. So once you search for prettier you will find something like prettier code formatter. So you just click on this and make sure you install this. Once you install this, reopen your VS Code so that it takes effect. Once the installation for prettier is done, basically why we are installing prettier is because when you write certain code here, right, in your VS Code, we want to have certain kind of formatting done automatically so that your code looks nicer and you can easily understand like the hierarchy of different levels of nesting in your HTML code. So for that reason we want to have this prettier setup in your VS Code. So let's say in this case I changed some formatting. If I click on save, it automatically gets formatted, so I don't need to take care of those nitty gritty things. It will just fasten my development time. So I would suggest you to install prettier first, and then you need to do some setup if it is not done by default in your VS Code. So press command shift and P. So this prompt will open, and here as you can see there are preferences. Within preferences you would see open user settings JSON. So if you press enter after selecting that, you would see some JSON like this. So here for setting up the prettier you need to because our code base is in JavaScript, you need to select like write JavaScript, and this is what you need to have. I would make sure that this particular snippet is in the video description so that you can easily copy paste it. But once you have this particular setup in your settings JSON, automatically the prettier formatter would start formatting your code. So once you are done with all these steps, you can head over to the again open like in VS Code you can start doing the coding. We are done with the setups and all. So let's get started. So first of all, I think by default your app.js, whenever we do the create React app setup, your app.js will have certain content in it. So you need to delete all that content. So let me start the application. So once you are done deleting all that content, clear your app CSS file also. So here as you can see I have open app.js file and app CSS file, both of them side by side so that you can easily understand whatever things I am writing. So once our app starts running, it will automatically open at port 3000. So app is opening. For now let's start with the designing part for the the layout designing part. So first of all, like we are going to have certain sections in our to-do app. So as you saw in the original diagram that I showed, the mock-up, basically we had different sections. So as you can see here, we have the app header, then we have body section for the app, then we have app footer. As part of this we are going to cover the designing for this app header and app footer and the body. So just the layout part we will cover as part of this, and then in the next one we are going to do the actual implementation for the to do item list and completed item list. So let's get started. So this is basically a React component. So for any React application you would have certain entry points. So as you can see here we have a index.js file, and index.js file app component is imported. So this is the entry point for our application. Then if you go to app CSS, so whatever HTML JavaScript that I will be writing here, the JSX, that would be basically rendered in my application. So at this point, because we don't have anything here, so if you look in the Chrome, sorry, so if you open the Chrome, let me hit localhost 3000. So here you as you see, like there is nothing so far. Okay, so let's start adding some layout to our application. So when you write a component, you will have a return statement at the end of that component. As part of this return statement, whatever you write, that will be rendered in the UI. So let me create a div, and I would give a class name for this div, that is let's say TODO app. So once you have this, then we have three different sections. So one is like app header, so we'll add one more div and call it app header. Then we are going to add certain content within the app header. So let's say I can put h2, and within that h2 I can React basics. So this is the header for my application. Then I'm going to have a body, so that I will give a different class name. So let's create a new div, and in this div I will give a class name, and this class is to do list wrapper. So this is where we are going to add all the content related to the to-do list, and even the input for the to-do input box, using which you can add new to-do items. And then the last section is called app footer, so I will add one more div and call it the class name is app footer. And I can close this. You can put like copyright the rate. So you can put any content here. So this does not matter much, because it is not going to dictate anything related to our application. uh, okay, so this is the footer, this is the body section of our application, and this is the header. Now I'm going to add certain styles related to these. So as you can see, the app css is already imported at the top. So whatever styles I write for these classes here, that would automatically start reflecting. So let's start writing some styles for the to do app class. To do app, so here I would to like differentiate the overall layout very clearly. I will give some colors, background color. So let's give it Alice blue. Then we can give the height. So I'm giving height as like 100 VH. So this is also called as viewport height. So whatever is the viewport, the overall height will be taken. If any of this CSS is not making sense to you, don't worry about all these things at this point. Our focus for this series is mostly the React part, so that's why I'm not talking about each and every CSS very clearly, like what exactly it is doing. But if you guys feel like you need some learning on the CSS side and HTML side as well, or JavaScript side, you can write in the comment box like HTML, CSS or JavaScript, whatever you want, and based on that I will make sure I create some more content around the things that I'm covering here, or I can create a fresh course on those topics, so that it will be very clear to you like how these things work together. So let's move on to the next style. So basically we are going to display all these as flexbox, so that's why for the wrapper to do app I'm giving the display as flex. If you want to learn more about flexbox, you can search for flexbox and try to understand it, and if you want some tutorials on those as well, you can comment in the comment section for this video. and flex direction I'm giving column because by default the flex direction for the flex box is row. In this case I want to have all these sections vertically aligned, that's why I am giving flex direction as column. So I think hope I have covered the styles very clearly, and still like you can go ahead and comment. uh, okay, let's move on to the next section where like the app header comes. Now let me add the app header class here, and I will be adding certain styles for app header. So for app header I want to have only 10 vh height, which will be at the top, so it takes 10 so overall view, whatever is the overall viewport height, uh, uh, overall is like 100, and out of 100 10 will be allocated for the app header. Then background color is let's say light blue, and display, again because I'm going to add certain more things within it, and just to have the alignment proper I'm giving display flex here, and justify content center, so that whatever content we have within that flex box would be center aligned. So that's it for the app header styling. Let's move on to the next section that we have, to do list wrapper. To do list wrapper. For to do list wrapper also, like we are going to give certain height, so let's give height as 80 vh, so this is going to take most of the height from our viewport. And then I'm giving certain margin just to make sure the contents looks very clear, and it is both sides equal margin is given. So let's give it 10 pixel. So this order is top right bottom left, so this is the top margin, and then you have 50 pixel top right, then you have bottom margin 10 pixel bottom, and left margin is 50 pixel. Then let's move on to the next, which is like we are going to provide display flex for this as well, and justify content center. The last style is gap. I want to give some gaps between the items within this flex box, so that gap would be let's say 20 pixel. So we are done with the to-do list wrapper styling. Now let's move on to the app footer. So app footer display flex, and we are going to give it height as let's say 10 vh, that is like the remaining height, because we already have 10 vh for the header, 80 for the to-do list wrapper, and 10, so overall it is 100 vh total height is covered. And then let's give justify content center, which would ensure like whatever we have added in the footer is center aligned. So I think that's all about the layout that we wanted to have, and I think I have very well explained whatever css also I have added. So if you have any doubts regarding all these things, please make sure you comment, and I would reply back to you. Let's head over to the browser and see like how the app is looking like now. So as you can see, like I added 3 sections. One is the header, so that is React Basics Learning to do app. Then we have a body section, and we have a bottom footer section. Let me provide some more style to the footer, so let's give it a background color as some different color, just to differentiate from other styles. So as you can see, this is this looks little bit off, but okay, let me see, justify content center. Okay, I would make sure this style is fixed in the next video, but for now as you can clearly see, we have designed a layout, and we have 3 sections. This video is getting a bit longer, so I would stop recording here now, but you can start commenting if you have any doubts regarding this session. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you soon.